All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to talk about Aaron Donald's comments on his retirement. And if you did notice, the second and third breaks of the show, we're going to be airing new commercials there. So, and I actually just got that text about that. So, yeah, so that was the first time. That was good. So yeah, the next break, I don't know what that one's going to be. So we'll find out when we go into our last break. But let's get into this third topic here. So Aaron Donald had some things to say. He commented on his retirement. So this is what he said when asked about it. He said, "I'm complete. I'm full. I think the passion to play the game is no longer there for me. I will always love football, but to think about going through camp and going through another 17-game season, I just don't have the urge to want to push myself to do that no more. I'm burnt out. If anything, the best way to say it is that I'm full. I'm complete. I'm satisfied with what I was able to do in 10 years. I think it's time for me at 32 years old to retire from football and jump into the next step of my career. It's time, of my career and my life, it's time to move on." He also said 10 years, 10 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pros, 3 Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2 NFC Championship games, or 2 NFC Championships. And I keep getting an ad every time I'm reading the quote off of this is on a CBS article. 3 NFC West championships, went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, lost 1. Yeah, so basically, yeah, he like he said, he just doesn't have the urge to play, and he accomplished so much that he thought this was the appropriate time. And if you go back to, and I brought this up when I talked about his retirement, you go back and you look at when they celebrated that Super Bowl championship, there was a possibility that Aaron Donald was going to retire. There was some rumors out there. And everyone's like, are you crazy? He's at the top of his game. Same thing with Sean McVay. I mean, all the Sean McVay stuff that he was, thinking about retiring as well. And then Aaron Donald ended up coming back. And, he played, in 2022. He played last year. And last year ended up being his final year. So it's not like this came as a surprise. I mean, it was shocking. But if you also go back and you realize that there was, some speculation that he was going to retire, after the Super Bowl, it's kind of not as surprising as it really turned out. But, I thought, hey, the Rams are gearing up for another season. They bounced back after, all those injuries that hurt them, the year after the Super Bowl. I thought, you know what, maybe they're going to try to, do it one more time. But I guess that's not going to happen. And the Rams, they got a huge hole to fill on their defense. And the defense was the problem. I mean, the offense, with the healthy Matthew Stafford, they looked really good. He got good protection. The emergence of Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, and obviously Cooper Kupp coming back from injury. They looked really good. But the defense, was a little bit of a problem. And now it's going to be even more of a problem because now you got to figure out, well, how are they going to fill in the loss of Aaron Donald on defense? So, but yeah, I mean, it's sad when you hear a player saying that because, yeah, I mean, you don't, like for us, we don't realize what they, got to go through with the training camp and all the meetings and the off season, the preseason, and it really is a long year. And on top of that, that entire year, I mean, you're getting beat up. Once you get to the regular season and you get to the meaningful games, I mean, and practices and OTAs, and it's a lot. It really is a lot. And if you're doing that for, like you said, 10 years, I mean, you got players like Tom Brady who are doing it for 20 plus. But, I think Brady still wants to play, but, he finally had to call it a career. It is a lot for some players. And again, he accomplished a lot, and you don't feel the passion of it anymore. But what's good for him is he does retire at the top. Because a lot of players, it doesn't happen. You kind of get pushed out the door. Injuries. I go back to Julian Edelman. I mean, Julian Edelman retired because of, all the injuries that he was dealing with. I mean, the last year he played, he was playing hurt. You look at Andrew Luck as well. Andrew Luck in his press conference, he just said he was in that constant cycle of rehab and he just lost the joy of the game. And he unfortunately had to call his career short because of that. And, again, like as a football fan, yeah, it sucks to hear that. It really does. Because, again, these are players that you grow up watching and, and, you love to watch these guys play, but they're also putting their bodies on the line, every single week, and yeah, it's football season's a grind. As much as it's only a 17-game season, although it's going to increase, it's going to be an 18-game season at some point, and then at some point down the line could be even 20 games, and they do away with the preseason. Yeah, it takes a lot. Guys play hurt the whole season. I mean, look at Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was playing most of the year hurt. And people thought he was washed. But, come postseason time, that he looked like the old Travis Kelce. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not really this isn't the first time we've heard players, come out and say stuff like that. So, it's just unfortunate because it's another great player that's retiring. And, yeah, he might be retiring a little bit too soon. But, again, that's his decision. And got to respect him for that. Now, in the CBS article, they make the comparison to Barry Sanders. So both players received Pro Bowl recognition each of their 10 seasons in the NFL. They retired at the peak of their career due to diminishing desire to play, which, that's what I just talked about, Aaron Donald. Barry Sanders cited diminishing desire to play as a main factor in his shocking retirement at age 30 after 10 seasons with the Lions. And Aaron Donald announced his retirement at age 32 after 10 seasons with the Rams, expressing a lack of passion for the game and feeling complete and satisfied with his accomplishments. I really cannot talk today. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, he expressed feeling full, complete, and burnt out with no urge to continue pushing himself through training camp and another 17-game season. Is satisfied with all his accomplishments. Now, here's the difference that they said with Aaron Donald and Barry Sanders. Well, first of all, they played two different positions. One's on offense and was a running back, and the other's on defense. But while Donald had nothing left to prove in his career, Sanders chose to retire despite being less than 1,500 yards away from breaking Walter Payton's career rushing record. Oh, see, I did not know that. That's really interesting. Sanders prioritized personal fulfillment over individual records and chose to walk away on his own terms a quarter century ago, going out on top. Both Sanders and Donald were able to retire on their own terms, a rare feat in the NFL, which I talked about before, where few players get to exit the game at the peak of their careers. I mean, even look at Tom Brady, his last season. I mean, it wasn't great. Now, I don't think it was as bad as Peyton Manning's last year, although Peyton Manning's last year, his team won the Super Bowl. But Peyton, his last season, that was rough. That was rough to watch. And I went back and I watched his 2014 highlights, and that was like the beginning of the end because he started off that season great, then he ended up getting hurt, and you could just tell, like, that was the beginning of the end. And then the following season, yeah, it just was not good. 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, he ends up getting hurt. Like I said, it's rare, for players to retire on their own terms. And, again, he was able to go out and, retire as a Super Bowl champion. But, yeah, I mean, you would have liked to have seen Peyton Manning go out with better stats and not 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions in the regular season. And Tom Brady as well. I know people dislike Tom Brady, but, yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Brady fan, you wanted to see him, at least give it one final run. But, the Bucs were 8-9, and the Cowboys, went into Tampa and really just, blew the doors off of them. But, again, I mean, a lot of people knew the Bucs weren't good. I mean, they finished with a losing record. They were struggling all year. So, yeah, that wasn't really much of a surprise. But if Brady went and stayed retired after the Rams playoff game, then that would have been probably better. I mean, I was saying he should still come back. I mean, he's coming off of a great year. But yeah, you didn't have Gronk. The offensive line was weaker. So, yeah, I mean, and Brady had a lot of other stuff going on off the field as well. So, but I mean, you know what? He still retired on his own terms. So, and you know what? the 49ers were interested in him, so he could have came back and played again. And maybe we could have saw Brady against Mahomes in the Super Bowl in 2023, and who knows? Who knows what would have happened? But yeah, for a lot of guys, it's just sometimes you don't retire on your own terms. I mean, look at Eli Manning. I mean, he's another guy too. They drafted Daniel Jones. I mean, he did have one more home start against the Dolphins, and the Giants played really well in that game. So at least he had that, and they went back to Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones, oddly enough, not really surprising, but he was hurt in his rookie season, and Eli came back in and played a couple of games. So yeah, but the Giants were kind of pushing him out at that point. Ben Roethlisberger, they were kind of pushing him out. It's hard, and it's hard for a lot of guys to walk away because it's something that football is their whole life, and you don't want to leave that. That's all you know. But guys like Aaron Donald, to bring it back to the original point, Aaron Donald said, "Yeah, I'm done. I accomplished everything that I could ever imagine, and yeah, he's content with that." And absolutely, I mean, you look at his resume. He played in 2 Super Bowls, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Pro Bowls every year that he's been in the league. I mean, yeah, he accomplished a lot. So, next stop for him, which I didn't say when I talked about his retirement in the beginning of the week. Next stop is Canton. Next stop is Canton for him. And, again, for the Rams, you're not going to be able to replace Aaron Donald, but you got to find a way to improve this defense if they're going to want to be taken really seriously in the conference. Now, again, I look at them right now as, being a team contending next season, but the defense right now is the issue. Because, again, love the playmakers on their offense. Matthew Stafford has still got some good football left. Just got to protect him, because he's a guy that's dealt with a ton of injuries over the course of his career. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it when talking about the Aaron Donald stuff. Like I said, he's, pretty content with his decision. I mean, we saw when, they were going for that Super Bowl, they had Eric Weddle come out of retirement and join the team for the playoff run. Maybe, if the Rams are making a run and they need a pass rusher, maybe they call him up and say, hey, we need a little bit of help here, and maybe he'll come back. But again, that's just another one of my hypotheticals, and it's not going to happen. So, but like I said, again, another great player that's calling it a career, and yeah, he's gonna be missed. He's gonna be missed. So, wish him nothing but the best in retirement. And once again, congrats to Aaron Donald on a great Hall of Fame career. So, when we come back now from our final break of the show, again, let me know what you guys think about the comments that Aaron Donald had on his retirement. But when we come back, we will talk about the new Netflix series that'll be coming out, Receiver. So we'll talk about who is going to be in this series because, obviously we had the quarterback series. Now we got the receiver series. We'll talk about who's going to be in it. I'll give you my thoughts. And that is what we will do when we come back from our final break of the show. And we'll see what this new this commercial is. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.